So you're buying your first home. That's amazing. But you've probably also stared at a builder agreement feeling, well, completely lost. Today, we're going to cut right through all that confusion. This is your simple, straightforward guide to those really complex terms, so you know exactly what you are paying for.
First things first, you've heard these words thrown around, right? Carpet area, built-up area, super built-up area. What on earth do they actually mean for the home you're about to pour your savings into?
You know, all that jargon, it really boils down to one single massive question for any homebuyer. What are you actually paying for? It's that nagging fear in the back of your mind that you're paying for space you'll never even get to use. Let's clear that up right now.
Okay, let's dive into our first section, the confusion over space. We're going to tackle what those terms really mean.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. For the longest time, real estate didn't have a lot of rules, which, unfortunately, opened the door for some pretty deceptive practices. So if you're confused, it's not your fault. It's just a side effect of an industry that was crying out for some clear rules.
And that leads us straight to the solution. Section 2, let's talk about RERA. Think of it as the official rulebook that's here to bring some much-needed transparency to the whole game.
So, way back in 2016, the government of India passed the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act. We just call it RERA. And its main job? To bring transparency and regulation to the whole sector and to protect people just like you. The whole point was to make sure you know exactly how much space you're getting and when you're going to get it. Now, this is absolutely crucial. RERA standardized the one term that matters most, carpet area. This is the official definition that builders have to use, and it's actually pretty simple. It's the usable area inside the external walls of your home. Just think of it like this. It's the space where you could literally roll out a carpet. So, what's inside that official RERA carpet area? Well, it's all your rooms, of course, your kitchen, your bathrooms, and even spaces for built-in cupboards. And here's a really key detail that RERA brought in. The thickness of the internal walls, the ones inside your apartment, is now included in that calculation. And just as important is what is not included. Your external walls, they're out. Service shafts are out. And this is a big one to remember. Balconies and terraces are now excluded from the RERA carpet area. That's a huge change from how things used to be. And of course, common areas like lifts and clubhouses are not part of your private space. All right, now for the part you've been waiting for, the really practical stuff. Section 3, the home buyer's checklist. These are the things you absolutely have to do before you sign on that dotted line. Here it is, your 4-step check. First, make sure you verify the official RERA area on all the documents. Second, and this is important, plan to physically measure the space yourself once you get the keys. Third, only compare properties using the cost per square foot of the carpet area. And fourth, always question the loading factor. That's the percentage of common area the builder adds on, and we'll break that down in just a second. This really highlights the power you have now. After you take possession, seriously, grab a measuring tape and check the dimensions yourself. Now, you should give a little margin, maybe 5 to 10% for those internal walls, but you have to make sure the area you were promised is the area you actually got. Let me be crystal clear on this one. When you're looking at different apartments, the only way to do a real, true apples-to-apples comparison is by calculating the price per square foot of the RERA carpet area. You have to ignore those big, distracting, super built-up numbers for a minute. So, what is that bigger number then? Well, that brings us to our final section, understanding the extra space. This is where we break down the difference between what you're being sold and what you can actually live in. The whole concept is actually pretty simple when you break it down. Carpet area is your private usable space. The super built-up area, on the other hand, is your private space plus your proportional share of all the common areas. We're talking lobbies, staircases, the clubhouse, all of it. So just how much extra space are we talking about here? This is what builders call the loading factor. And it can vary a lot, but usually the super built-up area is somewhere between 20 to 40% larger than your actual carpet area. Basically, the more goodies and common spaces a project has, the higher that percentage is going to be. Let's look at how the math actually works. Let's say your carpet area is a nice round 1,000 square feet. The builder then adds the external walls to get what's called the built-up area. Let's say that brings it to 1,100 square feet. Then they add your share of the common areas, maybe another 100 square feet. And just like that, your 1,000 square foot home is being sold as a 1,200 square foot super built-up area. Okay, one final, really crucial detail here. What actually counts as a common area?
It should only be the covered spaces, things like lifts, lobbies, and clubhouses. Open areas like parks, gardens, or any terraces that are open to the sky should not be included in that calculation. Make sure you confirm this with the builder.
So, as we wrap this all up, what's the most important thing to take away? It's this: your best tool as a home buyer is knowledge. And your absolute best protection against paying for something you're not getting is verification. Understand the terms, check the documents, and measure the space.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. You now have the knowledge you need to walk into that builder's office and look at that agreement with confidence. So the real question is, are you going to measure twice before you sign once?